In 2015, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's official report gave recommendations for integrating Indigenous education into curriculums. But documents show that in March, the Ontario government edited out framework that teaches students the connection between Western and Indigenous sciences. Jody Williams was consulted on the curriculum. She's the co-chair of the First Nations, Métis and Inuit Education Association of Ontario, and she joins us this morning. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Jody, what was in the Indigenous framework that was taken out of the Ontario curriculums?
Well, there was quite a bit, actually, that we had recommended to be included in that in the end was not there. And in addition to some of the things that we had suggested, actually also ended up being taken out. And that should be very, very alarming to people. We saw this last year with the math curriculum, that when a final draft gets produced and then the minister's office goes back in and edits out or removes out important content that was put in by experts in the field, that should be extremely alarming to people. And in fact, I have over 20 years in education, and I don't recall this ever happening before. So, this is now becoming a very controlled narrative in terms of what students are learning in the classroom. And it also is a little bit baffling, especially earlier in the year in September, when there was another announcement that reaffirmed that commitment to ensure that Indigenous knowledges, histories, contributions would be included in the curriculum.
And so that's the important point then, is that they did the consultations, but in the end, the part of the curriculum, at least in the sciences department, returned to what it was before. When asked about the curriculum edits, Grace Lee, who's a spokeswoman for the Education Minister, Stephen Lecce, said this: "We remain focused on ensuring Ontario students excel at the foundations of math, science, and reading so they can pursue good-paying jobs." How do you interpret that?
Shocking, because what does that say when you have a statement that says they should remain focused on quote-unquote science? So that says that our sciences aren't valid, which is why we're trying to get them into the curriculum so that we can correct this narrative. When you say that we have no significance or relevance, that upholds a very dangerous narrative that has perpetuated stereotypes, and all one has to do is look to those comments that come from when news articles get put out. The comments are filled with hate and racism towards Indigenous peoples and the knowledges that we have to offer. We're living on these lands that have incredible knowledge systems to offer. We are in abrupt climate change. And so, Western science is what got us into climate change, not Indigenous knowledge. And so when we think about solutions moving forward, we need to be including those knowledge systems as well. In addition, as a scientist, I have a degree in biology and environmental science. Mm-hmm. We look at all the information we can. The more information, the better that science can be. So to omit information that would be really relevant to learning it doesn't make sense even from a science perspective.
Last question, why is it important for students to learn aspects other than history when it comes about learning Indigenous peoples?
We have incredible knowledge systems that have been around for millennia, and our languages also encode those understandings and the significance of this. So here you're looking at harvesting birch bark off of a tree. Well, for example, our languages, Zadetek, that's in reference to a poplar tree. That language is in regards to, talks about the heart tree, and we know Big Pharma also knows that if you take that inner bark, it's really good for aspirin. And so our methodologies, our understanding of the environment is filled with incredible information and technology and design, to the point where NASA even has been reaching out and asking for partnerships and is funding research from Indigenous people now. So when we talk also about good paying jobs, there are many good paying jobs out there for people that are immersed in all aspects of those knowledge systems.
Jody Williams, I'm really glad that we had this conversation today. Thanks for coming on Your Morning.
Thank you for having me.